an interesting new report out from U.S. News and the Aetna Foundation is highlighting which communities across the country are actually the most healthy. And here to discuss that new ranking with us is U.S. News senior news editor Joe Williams. Joins us now. And Joe, appreciate you taking the time. It's an interesting new ranking of a lot of these communities across the U.S. And you guys put one in New Mexico here at number one. Talk to me about what went into these rankings and what determines which communities across the U.S. are the healthiest.
Well, it's nice to be here. And basically, the community rankings are, we create community rankings on a set of metrics. They include everything from housing availability, access to fresh air and clean water, food security, eviction rates, education, public safety, just a range of metrics that we use. And we factor those in, we weigh each metric and give weight to certain things that rely on other communities than different other communities. And we end up with these rankings. So basically, what you'll notice in the rankings is that a lot of the best communities are ones that have high rates of education. In other words, they have a lot of white-collar workers with high incomes. There's not a lot of housing insecurity. There's plenty of access to outdoor recreation. And the people, highly educated people are generally healthy, mostly because if you have an education, it leads to a better job, which leads to better healthcare.
Yeah, and I just want to walk through, I guess, these top ones here, because there is a full ranking on your guys' website here. But Los Alamos County in New Mexico was number one. Douglas County in Colorado and Falls Church in Virginia round out the top three. And when you look at those, I mean, I guess the one factor here that pointed out, or that stood out to me was each of those counties did have a rather high median household income, as well as a pretty low poverty rate here. So is the takeaway just that these counties by themselves, I guess, are enjoying pretty strong economic indicators here, or is there more going on beyond just those?
There's probably a little bit more going on. And one thing that if you go back to our rankings, you'll notice that we have the top three, they're perennially there. Falls Church, Virginia, Loudoun County, Virginia, Los Alamos, New Mexico, about 4 or 5 communities in Boulder, Colorado. It's been fairly consistent since we've been doing this. And again, likely these counties have the counties all have one thing in common. And that's basically the fact that they have a highly educated population and they have a lot of income security. The counties that don't do so well tend to be a lot unstable when it comes to income, not quite as much housing turnover or availability, and education also is a very good factor. In other words, in some of these top communities, you have school systems that are ranked fairly high, and that's giving them the edge. And it's almost like a perpetuating concept. In other words, people tend to be drawn to community. People of higher incomes tend to be drawn to those communities, and it helps promote the community in a kind of a perpetual loop.
And 6 of those top 10 too, I'm just noticing here too, were in the state of Colorado. I'm not sure if when you compile all these things too from a local standpoint and then back up and look at states, if that's been a standout over prior years as well, since Colorado is one of those states that even in handling this pandemic has been closely watched in terms of getting a handle on things as well. So what's so special, I guess, about what's going on there?
If I were to look at the rankings, I would say that probably outdoor recreation and healthy lifestyles. I mean, it's almost a brand with Colorado that if you're going to live in the Rocky Mountains, you're going to be into hiking, you're going to be into canoeing, that sort of thing. I mean, not everybody is, of course, but certainly those people who boost the rankings, highly educated people who are into recreation and into the outdoors, which Colorado offers in abundance. And one of the things that you'll look at that you'll find if you look at the metric is that the healthier lifestyles and the more active a population is, the healthier they tend to be. I mean, it stands to reason that if you're physically active, you're going to have a better cardiovascular system, your body weight's going to be lower, and your likelihood of diabetes and obesity is also going to be reduced. And as we know, those are some really important pre-existing conditions that can be the gateway to a lot of health problems. Specifically, during the coronavirus pandemic, that's been pointed out to be one of the factors that leads scientists to determine who is at risk and who isn't for getting the virus.
Yeah, very interesting stuff here in the national rankings of the healthiest communities. Shout out to the Centennial State. But Joe Williams, U.S. News senior news editor, appreciate you taking the time to chat that and break it down for us.
No problem. Thanks very much.
Hey investors, Zack Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.